Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers.
Cooper!
Championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Kirsten Rasmussen.
Welcome back, race fans, to an action-packed Road to Indy race day. You are here with Parker Thompson and Rob Howden, the series development director, and we are here on the pre-show on Road to Indy TV Live to talk about race 2 of USF2000 coming up in just a few short minutes. Rob?
Let's start by looking back at race 1, right? Because I thought that was pretty solid. We saw some really good racing. Number 1, 28 cars in the field. We had a couple additional drivers. Nathan Bird and Chase Highland have come to join us here this weekend. And again, Simon Sykes back with Legacy Autosport. We'll talk more about him. But bottom line was just a great race yesterday. And Michael D'Orlando, the guy with that big move around the outside of Kiko Porto in turn 4 to take the win.
Well, Rob, this is a mainstay for you, momentum for race car drivers
100%.
on the Road to Indy.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, Michael D'Orlando has been rolling the dice pretty good lately.
And what I like is it's really been assertive. Obviously didn't qualify as well at Road America, I think just outside the top 10, but was able to race his way back up in both of those races. So it took a lot of confidence out of that track. He won here last year as well. So he took the confidence and momentum from Road America to a place that he's already been victorious, and you could see how aggressive he was out of the gate. He was going for the lead.
He was going for the lead, and it's funny. I had him on the show yesterday after his race win. He probably would have got to the lead right off the start if they didn't go yellow there, because he was side by side with Kiko going down the back straight into 4.
And that's what I had heard, because almost when the yellow came out, they weren't sure who was actually in the lead at that point when the yellow eventually did come out. But indeed, as we know, Kiko got that spot before the yellow flag came out and got the restart. But again, immediately, Michael was all over him. And what I liked was he kind of hounded him for a bunch of laps, first feeling him out, and then went by to take the lead.
I don't think I'd ever say this on the Road to Indy, Rob, but it's nice to see Cape Motorsports back winning some races. You almost felt bad there for a little bit. You're going, wow, such a dominant force. I mean, if you look at the last decade, they're still the most dominant team we've ever seen.
8 championships.
On the Road to Indy. So for them to last year, what, did they only win 1 or 2 races?
Yeah, not a lot. Reese Gold, I think Reese got one. I think Michael D'Orlando got one,
Yeah. So for them to come back, not only win the crown jewel here with Lucas Oil, they won the Freedom 75 with Michael D'Orlando, but to come back and win Mid-Ohio, this is a good track for them. It's good to see Nicholas and Dominic Cape back to where they belong.
True enough. Now, let's fast forward to what's going to happen in just a couple of minutes here when we get rolling for race number 2. The interesting thing is it's Kiko versus D'Orlando again. Kiko's on the pole position, D'Orlando P2. And interesting, Kiko with a point lead, but Michael chipping away at it, getting himself back in there.
Yeah, and it's a scary thing. You know, you think to manage a championship, you got to sit back and just take the podiums. But the points pay for sweeping race weekends. So to give the fans some insight at home, you get a point for pole, You get a point for fastest lap in the race, and you get a point for most laps led in the race. That's 3 points. If you look at the points breakdown apart from that, that's one of the biggest spreads there is.
Indeed. Yeah, 33 points total on offer for a win, 25 for second. It's an 8-point swing, and especially if you make a pass. It's a 16-point swing if you think about it, right?
Well, and if you think compared to other championships, you look, a lot of people say consistency wins championships. If you're not in that top 3, all of a sudden the top 5 to the bottom 30 pay 1 point per position.
Indeed.
So it gets pretty tough after the top 5.
So let's talk about the race then. Kiko Porto and Michael D'Orlando, obviously they know they have good speed. The guy I like watching right now is Simon Sykes from Legacy Autosport. It's just amazing to me. He hasn't been able to put together a full season, just doesn't have the budget. But the good folks from Metalloid are stepping up to help him out. He's running, of course, with Legacy Autosport. And, man, a podium at second at Road America, then third yesterday. This kid's punching above his weight class right now, and I really like it. I think it's a great story.
Well, and when we talk about partnerships on the road to Indy, we talk about companies supporting young drivers. Fred Edwards.
Yep.
With Metalloid and that whole team at Legacy, they've been so good at getting young drivers in the seat that deserve it. Results-wise, it's nice to see them finally get the podiums and the results they deserve.
Indeed, they're putting the time in, right? They're putting the time in. They're making the investment money-wise in their drivers as well. And we've seen what they were able to do last year at the Freedom 90, able to win with Cody Swanson there at Lucas Oil Raceway. But to have Simon in there punching, and he knows his track, which is a good thing, too. He's run here before in the F1600 Championship Series. He was the champion there last year. But to be able to get more races here, I think we're really seeing what Simon's got.
I couldn't agree more. And it's nice, you get one podium on the road to Indy. You can't take away 2. So for Simon to go out and get his second podium at a different racetrack, there's nothing to take away from those 2 performances. And I think that'll just instill, we talk about momentum, it'll instill more confidence and more momentum.
I think everybody's heard me harp on about the fact that I always look at Road America being that halfway point in the season when the rookies can really start picking it up, halfway through. We saw a great run for Spike Kohlbecker, of course, in race number 1, finishing third. Then his teammate at Cape Motorsports, Thomas Netvu, ends up getting the race win. And Thomas, I think, is going to start on row number 3 here as well. So Thomas, a young guy that's getting a lot of confidence as well. He knows he can win in this series now. He can beat anybody here, and he's going to see if he can do it again today. But I think he's starting 5th or 6th, I believe, for Thomas. It's
going to be tough, for the fans at home. Mid-Ohio, I've had a few seasons racing here. One of the toughest tracks to pass on. And part of the reason that is, you think there's lots of braking opportunities. Usually more braking means more passing. But if you look at how all the braking opportunities are presented, the corners before them, going into the keyhole, you've got turn 1, which is the highest downforce corner on the track. And there's really only one line through there, especially when the IndyCar starts to lay the rubber down. It's not like you've got choices as to where you can run. You've got to run kind of that preferred line. It's kind of like an oval where you get behind the dirty air of a car, you're stuck.
That's true.
And then the other tough part, and hopefully it changes. Sometimes in races you'll see tire degradation actually add to the racing, but a lot of the times you'll see it get more sprung out. In race 1 in Indy Pro 2000 this morning, there was really only one battle on track for third. Everybody else was kind of strung out, and it's because that constant wear on those Cooper tires behind the dirty air through turn 1, through turn 11, other places here at Mid-Ohio is tough. I'm going to be really interested to see the battle at the start. Now that the USF2000 grid has went through a race start here, they know how tough it is to pass, right?
Yeah.
All the rookies now understand when they hear a guy like me say, there's not going to be much passing. They get it. They've been through that race. They've done it once. So now you're going to see, and I always find that halfway point in the weekend, they got the first one out of the way with. It's the second of 3 races. They know they can take a little more chances. I think that's going to be a pretty dicey start.
Yeah, I would say turn 2 up into the keyhole number 1, and then I'm thinking probably 3 or 4 wide down into turn number 4. There's going to be guys that are going to try to send it down the bottom for sure.
Yeah. Interesting enough, Michael, when I had him on the show yesterday, I tried to get him to give me his game plan and his strategy. He definitely said he's going to be very aggressive to try and get by. He said outside of turn 4 is a nice little spot to be preferred to pass. Where do you see that action happen?
I'm right there. I'm turn 4. I really think it's the only real viable passing opportunity, unless the guy makes a mistake in turn number 1 and you can get that move to the bottom before you get to the keyhole. Otherwise, I think turn 4 is where all the passing gets done here. If you're aggressive, yes, you can do it in a couple other places. Maybe dive in 9, potentially if the guy leaves the door open and has a mistake in 11 into the carousel. But you know it. It's turn 4 here. You set a guy up for turn 4.
USF2000 weekends when we've got the triple headers are super unique. As you know, with their tire allotment, essentially it's one qualifying for 3 races, which is, on a driver, you mess up one session, and it doesn't just mess up one race. It messes up your 3 following races that you have to deal with. And then not only that, the tire strategy comes into play. When you use those new Cooper tires is a lot different. There's a lot more choices, permutations, and combinations for teams to put down the strategy. Most of the guys I saw use their new tires in race 1 yesterday. Anybody on your radar that's got a new set of Cooper tire boots?
That's something I found out about, and that would be interesting to see for sure, whether or not you talk a little bit about the tire dag. Would that happen? Would somebody have a spare set? That I don't know about. We'll see. One of the drivers that you talked about how qualifying is so crucial and having trouble in qualifying sets you back. How about Christian Brooks? Here's the guy that we expected would have been a championship contender. Won both races at St. Petersburg. Was I think 4th and 5th in points coming in. After having that one had a drive-through penalty at Road America. Qualified I think 13th for race number 1. I think he's 11th for this race. Just a rough one for Christian.
I want to say, and I don't mean, I hope it is higher than 12th and 13th or what you just said. I think it was 15th and back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not good. Let's just put it this way. A guy that came in here wanting to win the championship, won the last race of the season last year, really got good momentum. And he, D'Orlando, and Green were the top 3. Josh Green were the top 3 guys coming back after last year's championship. Christian's just had it's been an up and down season. He'll be lightning great one place, and then they struggled. Whatever they did to the car in qualifying, it did not work.
That is super interesting, Rob. Now, did you get a beat on exactly what happened in qualifying?
I didn't actually. I didn't get a chance to ask about that. I think, honestly, it was just the car. I just don't think the car was fast. I think they're lacking a bit of straight line speed. That's essentially what I'm hearing.
Well, when we talk about it, Billy Fraser yesterday, teammate from New Zealand, never been to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course before.
We should give him some props, by the
Qualified
way.
5th.
Yeah.
So it's not like those exclusive auto sport cars are struggling.
No,
it's just,
Agreed.
I would say, characteristic and what Christian is looking for out of the car.
Maybe they did something last minute, made a little change to the car to try to see if they could find some more speed because they didn't quite have it earlier. But let's go to Billy Fraser, essentially the fastest driver at exclusive auto sport yesterday in a tremendous battle with Nolan Siegel. The kid out of New Zealand that came over from the Toyota Racing Series, had a really good run to 4th at St. Petersburg earlier in the year, but he's kind of been just outside the top 10 kind of thing is where he's been running, learning the car, learning the tracks here. But man, yesterday, like a seasoned veteran out there battling with Nolan Siegel, 3rd-year driver.
It was a seasoned veteran, so it's pretty cool. I mean, there's so many storylines here in USF2000, but that's why we've got race 2 coming up. Before we get into race 2, though, let's take you on a lap around Mid-Ohio and why so many professional race car drivers call this one of the toughest and most technical tracks in North America. Ask any professional race car driver what the most technical racetrack in North America is, and you can guarantee that Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course will make everybody's shortlist. This 13-turn, 2.3-mile road course is the hidden gem of the Midwest. Mid-O, as the kids call it, has been a staple for our Road to Indy Championships for the last decade, and this weekend it will play a vital role to all 3 ladder series as we get the summer swing underway for 2021. The lap here at Mid-Ohio starts with every driver hustling their machines as close to flat as possible through turn 1 at speeds of excess of 120 miles per hour. Next up is turn 2 and the famous keyhole, which sets the run down the back straight into turn 4, which is our biggest braking zone and our best passing zone for this race weekend. Turn 4, 5, and 6 starts the roller coaster back section here at Mid-Ohio that takes rhythm and precision to execute. The roller coaster section continues into turn 9, which is a blind 90-degree corner that takes the utmost trust in drivers' machines and ability in order to navigate through and onto the other side into Thunder Valley. You've got a short time to catch your breath before turn 10 and 11, which has the speed of turn 1, but with the added difficulty of being blind again with no room for air on exit because of the quick transition downhill and into the famous carousel corner at turn 12. Once you've gathered your car up in the carousel, it's a straight shot over the bump and through to turn 13. That's all it takes for a lap here around Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I couldn't think of a better way to celebrate America's birthday than having the Road to Indy racing in the Midwest. Happy 4th of July to all of our American racing fans, and let's get ready for fireworks on and off the racetrack.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers.
Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
As your uncle, I want you to know that on the road of life, there will be rough spots, and they will chew up your tires. I recently took a road trip to Greensville to attend a chili cook-off. Rough roads all the way down. I drove there on these Cooper Discoverer and Duramax tires. You know, they're made with the durability of off-road tires, but for on-road driving. Without them, we might never know the winning bean-to-meat ratio of a good chili. And those are the things in life, my friend, worth driving towards. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! I'm hungry now.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
As your uncle, I want you to know that on the road of life, there will be rough spots, and they will chew up your tires. I recently took a road trip to Greensville to attend a chili cook-off. Rough roads all the way down. I drove there on these Cooper Discoverer and Duramax tires. You know, they're made with the durability of off-road tires, but for on-road driving. Without them, we might never know the winning bean-to-meat ratio of a good chili. And those are the things in life, my friend, worth driving towards. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! I'm hungry now.
The Indy presented by Cooper Tires to come. USF2000 drivers behind me right now. A massive field of 28 young drivers at the first rung of the road to Indy. And of course, later on today as well, Indy Lights, the drivers just that one step away from IndyCar, will have their first race of the doubleheader. But as I said, behind me right now, 28 young drivers set to go in the second race for USF2000. Let's have a look at the grid. Tail of the field right now, actually only 27 drivers today. The 28th driver, Nathan Bird, will be back tomorrow. He raced his first ever road course race with the Road to Indy yesterday. He's gone to Lucas Oil Raceway tonight to run a midget car. We'll have him back here again tomorrow on Sunday. So inside of that row, though, will be Chase Hyland, the rookie in the number 7 for J. Howard Driver Development. He will start in the 27th position. Row number 13 on the outside, the number 42, Michael Myers, the family run program, the driver out of Indiana, starting 26th. And on the inside, another driver in his first ever Road to Indy weekends, running for Turn 3 Motorsports, the rookie Christian Weir in the number 32. Row number 12 on the outside for Miller Vinatieri Motorsports. It's Kent Vaccaro in the number 16, rookie driver. And on the inside of that row, last year's Lucas Oil School Formula Car Racing Series champion Eli Navarro in the number 1 for J. Howard Driver Development. He will start in 23rd. You can pick that car out. The Road to Indy scholarship colors, red, white, and black. Row number 11 now on the outside, Dylan Christie in the number 34 for Turn 3 Motorsport. He'll start 22nd. Inside for Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports, it's Evan Stammer in the number 3. Moving now to row number 10 on the outside, Trey Burke for Joe Dueling Autosport in the number 63, the rookie driver starting 20th. And on the inside for J. Howard Driver Development, it's Peter Vodanovich in the number 9. Moving to row number 9 now, starting 17th and 18th. On the outside for J. Howard Driver Development, Bajoy Garg in the number 6th. And on the inside, Eric Evans, the rookie out of Georgia for Velocity Racing Development. Moving now to row number 8, starting on the outside. Keep an eye out for this driver in the championship hunt, Josh Pearson in the number 24. Second-year driver out of Oregon, starting in 16th. Inside of that row from Avon, Indiana, in the number 8 for J. Howard Driver Development, the Prime 47 Steakhouse car. That's Jackson Lee in 15th. Move now to row number 7 on the outside, the number 99 for Force Indy. It is New York's Miles Rowe, the rookie, starting 14th. Alongside him, Christian Brooks, another championship driver, won both races at St. Petersburg this year. He's going to start 13th. Deep field start here for Christian Brooks, so keep an eye on the white and red, number 44. Row number 6, a couple of race winners. Both these drivers on row number 6 won the opening round at Barber Motorsports Park. On the outside, Prescott Campbell in the 11 for D-Force Racing. And on the inside, Yuvan Sundaramurthy in the number 22 for Pabst Racing, starting in 11th position. Work our way now into the top 10, starting on the outside of row number 5, another rookie driver, podium finish at Road America. He'll start 10th here today. For Ignite Autosport with Cape Motorsports, the rookie Spike Kohlbecker out of St. Louis, Missouri, in the number 5, starting 10th. Inside of that row, second-year driver from Mount Kisco, New York, for Turn 3 Motorsports, Josh Green in the number 33. Up now to row number 4 on the outside from Cambridge, England. It's Matt Roungarito in the number 92. He'll start 8th position for Exclusive Autosport. Inside of that row, the rookie out of Scottsdale, Arizona, Jace Denmark in the number 23 for Pabst Racing. Now moving our way into the top 6 top 3 rows. Great run yesterday at P4 for the young driver out of New Zealand for Exclusive Autosport. Billy Fraser, the rookie in the number 91, starting in 6th place today, trying to gun for that podium. And then Thomas Nephew, a winner at Road America for Cape Motorsports, the young Canadian out of Quebec, Canada, the rookie. Thomas Nephew in the number 2, starting P5. Moving now to the row 2, the outside, a driver with a couple of podiums over the last couple of weekends. 2nd at Road America, 3rd yesterday, Simon Sykes in the Legacy Autosport number 19. Will start on the outside of row number 2, a 121.973, his qualifying time. Driver on the inside, 3rd year in the series from Palo Alto, California for D-Force Racing, the number 10 of Nolan Siegel. 27 drivers ready to fire up their engines. 2 drivers will be rolling off on the front row. Outside of the front row, yesterday's winner. Also a victor in the Freedom 75 at Lucas Oil Raceway from Hartsdale, New York for Cape Motorsports. Michael D. Orlando, a 121.792 in qualifying, puts him in the 2nd position. But the driver on the pole position right now, our point leader here in the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship, out of Brazil in the number 12, Kiko Porto, a 121.485 fast time in qualifying. Kiko Porto on the pole alongside Michael D. Orlando. Folks, 27 drivers set to go, and let's do that right now. Fire them up. We are on pit lane here. 2 of our guests from Cooper Tires to give the command to fire these engines.
Road to Indy drivers, start your engines.
And with that, engines coming to life down here on pit lane. A ton of guests here from Cooper Tire. Great to have you here. 27 drivers. Hello to those of you listening and watching on the Road to Indy TV app. John Fippen, we got ourselves a great race. Race 2 for USF2000 about to roll off.
Absolutely. A great race yesterday. Michael D. Orlando, on the strength of that win, moved up into 2nd in the points from 4th coming into this weekend. He's now only 30 points behind Kiko Porto. Porto starting on the pole, looking for a chance to redeem himself after leading 13 laps in yesterday's race. Finally had to give that up, and or 12 laps, excuse me. Finally had to give that up in the last handful of laps and turn it over to Michael D. Orlando, but Kiko was able to hang on for a 2nd place finish. The field rolls away behind the safety car. There'll be a single pace lap. We'll get the start right here in front of us in the Cooper Tires press tower. Let's head it out to Rusty Bell to follow the field around on the pace lap.
Pace car making its way out of the pit lane or the pit exit. A lot of these drivers spinning up the rear tires, trying to get a little bit of heat. Watching it now as they are making it up into the keyhole turn now. Lights still on in the pace car, but we'll expect those to go out as we come around the carousel to get the start here in just a moment. But the field now still streaming out of the pit lane. Giant field of cars here. 28 cars eligible. I think we heard 27 cars will be in today's race, and they are making their way around the keyhole turn onto the back straightaway as there are still some cars coming out of the pit lane. That's how big this field of cars is. Making its way down the straight right now, setting a very slow pace lap at the moment as the cars weave back and forth to get a little bit of heat and clean the rocks off the tires, as they will be making their way by my announce position here and down into the S's here in just a moment. But big group of cars, a lot of work going on trying to get some heat into these tires. We see a number of drivers have elected to start on sticker tires. About half the field that I can see go by on sticker tires. The field down in front of Tom now.
Yep, they're just now going through turn number 4. Pace car moves by us here. Number 12 car, Kiko Porto. That brilliant blue and white with the iridescent green on the rollover loop. Field heads over through turn 7 to turn 8.
Coming into turn 9 here, the pace car comes around. We'll see if he still has his lights on. Yes, he does. Have not seen them go off quite yet. And coming up to turn 11, I can't quite tell if the lights are on or off.
Lights are off on the pace car. Rob Howden has joined me here in the booth. Rob, looking at the points after yesterday's race, Michael D. Orlando moving up into 2nd, only 30 points back. And the guy who had the tough break yesterday, Prescott Campbell, got caught up in that first lap incident with Miles Rowe. He went from 6th to 9th.
Yeah, really, really tough for Prescott. But again, the 2 drivers up front in points, Kiko Porto, Michael D. Orlando. That's how they'll line up. And they are 2 by 2 getting ready to come out of the carousel as we get set to start the second event of the triple header for the Cooper Tires USF2000 Championship here at Mid-Ohio. Out of 13, Portal will be the one to punch off, and he goes green, green, green. Aaron Likens throwing that flag at start, finish, and away they go down into turn number 1 right now.
3 wide.
Portal holds the spot. Good move to the inside as well there, I believe, for Thomas Nepthu. Eric Evans coming into pit lane here right now in front of it. Look, here we are, 3-4 wide coming up into turn number 2, the keyhole for the first time, John. Looks to be like, yep, good start there for the leader, Porto, holding the spot. D'Orlando sliding into second. This will be that big run down the straightaway now. Still 2-3 wide. Again, you could lose it here on the opening lap, but man, it's also a great opportunity to overtake some drivers.
Yeah, Simon Sykes slotting back into third spot. Kind of a replay of what we saw in the first race yesterday. Let's hope they can make it through turn 4 without anybody getting knocked off the track.
Parker Thompson, I talked about it in the pre-show, how a bunch of guys have done the first start. They've got through turn 1 for the first time, these rookies. This is the second time. Now they start getting a little more aggressive, as you can see. 2-3 wide coming through 5 down to turn number 6. Clean so far, though. Drivers doing a good job battling, giving each other just enough room to be able to get through the tight confines of 5, 6, and now 7. Hard to go too wide over the hill of turn number 9, John. We know that. A couple drivers trying to get further back. When you're a driver on the inside with a bunch of wheel on it trying to tighten it up, you can lose the back of that car pretty quickly.
Exactly. By the time they get around to us, though, they're pretty much single file now through the carousel turn for the first time. And it looks like our pole sitter, Kiko Porto, out in front.
Prescott Campbell trying an outside move. You can see that there on the show. I think he's going to make that stick. Nice job, I believe. That's the 11 of Prescott Campbell. Let's see where he ends up slotting in coming through here after that move to get around the outside of Jackson Lee. So he goes to 13th. Indeed, Christian Brooks, the big starter, 13th to 8th on the opening lap for Christian Brooks as he's trying to recover here, save this weekend. Not a good qualifying for the California, but he is on the wheel big time here as he's trying to get forward. Porto the leader across the line, though. D'Orlando second. Simon Sykes in third again. 2 podiums in the last 3 races for Sykes. And it's Matt Round-Garrido up to 4th, Thomas Nepthu 5th, Nolan Siegel 6th, Billy Fraser 7th, Christian Brooks 8th, Spike Kohlbecker 9th, and Chase Denmark, John, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Kohlbecker dropping back just a couple spots, but was able to get back around Chase Denmark to take over that 9th spot on the first lap.
Ooh, some aggressive racing there. Oh, Miles Rowe. One driver around further back. Miles Rowe, I believe, potentially to the back of Josh Green coming through turn 5. Could be damage for the 99 of Miles Rowe. We'll see. Incidental contact for sure. What you see a guy, John, putting his nose in 5, it's the right front to left rear kind of a thing. You're trying to see if you can't force the issue, but the driver on the outside's got the position going down into 6.
Indeed. Tom Michaels, was he able to get restarted?
Yeah, restarted, underway once again, but ahead of just 1 car.
Tough one there. Again, patience is the key for these young drivers. Again, just settling in here, then going to work. But again, you know how tough it is to pass here at Mid-Ohio. You take every opportunity you can. Rowe had a pretty good look up the inside of turn 5, but just wasn't there, John. One of the things, again, about this racetrack, your passes have to be decisive, right, to get it done. If you hesitate at all, you are lost.
Exactly right. Simon Sykes is looking really racy. He is closing up on the back of Michael D'Orlando. D'Orlando, of course, taking over the lead about 2/3 of the way through the race yesterday. Some good side-by-side racing going in the back, as it looks like Brooks and Siegel, I think, were side-by-side. We'll see as they come off the carousel turn. A little drafting going on. Now 3 wide in front of Rusty Bell.
Yeah, one of the drivers ducking to the inside there, John. I'm not sure if there could have been an issue as he may be pulling to the side and slowing up, and I think indeed he is. You can see that driver on the inside of the racetrack, one of the J. Howard driver development cars, fall into the tail of the field like there's been some kind of damage there. And the way they worked their way through, I'll tell you this. You said Christian Brooks pushing aggressively coming forward. In fact, yeah, here it is here. No, he's still got the front wing on it. We'll see what happens with that car there as he comes back around, but definitely an issue for one of the J. Howard driver development cars. But up front, talking about Nolan Siegel, Simon Sykes, let's talk about that a little bit. I talked to him about a half an hour before the race, and I said, hey, man, congratulations, 3rd place. He goes, I want more.
Yeah.
A couple of podium finishes in his mind right now. It's like, that's the confidence flick, the flick of the switch. I can do it. The team can do it. We can win this race. And now he's starting to put some pressure here on Michael D'Orlando.
Yeah, and that's causing D'Orlando to raise his game a little bit. His lap a little bit faster this time, but nobody as fast as Kiko Porto, as he has got about a 0.6 of a second lead as they work their way up to the keyhole.
Yeah, we're going to get a little replay here, folks, of the incident involving Miles Rowe. You can see Miles on the outside. Looks like he's got some pretty solid position coming up. The driver from the left coming across on him. thinking about going up the inside, and the driver inside not going to give him any room either. And you can see a little bit of sideways action there into with one of the, probably, I'm trying to think which, that's one of the Pabst Racing drivers. And, of course, the spin further back for one of the J. Howard driver development cars. I believe that's Peter Vodanovich. So Vodanovich was the driver involved in the incident early, but it looked to me just like Rowe might have been up inside there, but the driver on the outside, the Pabst driver, wasn't giving him any room whatsoever, and indeed, Vodanovich into pit lane.
Yeah, Rowe for the second race in a row having trouble on the very first lap, but able to stay running, get himself back into the contention, as he is now in 14th spot.
Still 14th. Yeah, the driver went around, as we said, Peter Vodanovich. Tom Michaels gave us the update on that. Well back, able to continue into pit lane to find out what's wrong there with Vodanovich. Drivers settling in and scrapping it out here now early on. Porto, D'Orlando, Sykes, Round-Garrido, and Nepfu. And we're going to watch the lap times here of Simon Sykes. This is the guy that knows how to win. He's struggled a little bit, doesn't have the funding, John, to be able to put together a full program. He's getting some great support from the good folks at Metalloid, running with Legacy Autosport. They're trying to establish their team. We can do well. We can get on the podium. They've shown that with a couple of podiums with Simon Sykes. But here's a guy that last year at Road America won 2 SCCA National Championship runoff events.
Yep.
That means this guy can wheel, right? He won Formula Continental, he won Formula F. We know he's got the skills.
Absolutely right, and right now he is just biding his time, I think, as we're working race lap 5. We've got 16 to go, 15 and a half basically. And if you look at the lap times of the top 3, they're within a 1/10 of a second of each other. In fact, Round-Garrido, who is running in 4th, that's a great recovery for Matt. He did not have a good day yesterday. He ended up recovering for an 8th place finish, but he's running in the top 5. Nepfu also up into 5th spot. That's right where he finished yesterday, so good run for him. But Matt Round-Garrido looking better here today.
I'll tell you, another driver who had a couple of good laps here is Billy Fraser. Remember, Fraser started 6th, fell back to 8th, able to get by both Spike Kohlbecker and Nolan Siegel. We'll give a shout out to the Fraser family down in New Zealand. I believe Mom and Dad watching. I'm told there's a bunch of people watching in Dubai as well. So all you Billy Fraser fans, thank you so much for tuning in. We love your kid. He's awesome. We have a lot of fun with him, and he's obviously a great talent. We're going to see him back on the podium and potentially a race win. We hope we get him back here next year as well. Billy Fraser, a very talented young driver from New Zealand, coming out of the Toyota Racing Series and running with Exclusive Autosport. 4th at St. Petersburg earlier this year, and of course a great run yesterday to P4, and getting himself back up here as well. Fraser almost into the top 10 in points as well, currently 11th spot.
Yeah, as we look at the battles on the racetrack, Fraser in front of a train of 4 cars, absolutely nose to tail. Fraser, then Nolan Siegel, Spike Kohlbecker, Christian Brooks, all running together. And then just a half a second back to Jay Stenmark in the 10th spot. He's got Josh Green and Josh Pearson all over him. So great racing in the back half of the pack. Meanwhile, Sykes about a half a second behind D'Orlando in that battle for second.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second between first and second. A little bit of a gap there for Porto. In fact, D'Orlando's given himself a little bit of a room. I'm being told, is that maybe another spin? Or all right, another issue with potentially the number 9 going around. I think that's Vodanovich again. So he went back out and had another spin. So Peter Vodanovich having a rough time of it here so far today. Race Control giving us a little insight on what's happening on the track, away from what we're seeing, of course, on the screen. We'll take the time to say hello to everybody tuning into the Road to Indy TV app or on USF2000.com or roadtoindy.tv. Lots of ways to watch the coverage here. If you download the Road to Indy app on iTunes or Google Play, get a chance to follow all the action of the events here. Kiko Porto, D'Orlando, Sykes, Round-Garrido, Nepfu, and Fraser. I had mentioned earlier, because I was told that Nathan Bird wasn't going to be racing today, but he actually is in the field. I was maybe he's going straight from here over to Lucas Oil Raceway. I was told he was running a midget tonight. We were told he was only running the Friday and Sunday races. He's actually in the field. I didn't get a chance to introduce him. So Nathan Bird in the number 20 for Legacy Autosport, indeed in the field, up into 24th right now. He's only his first weekend running on the road course for USF2000. Joined us for the Freedom 75 as well.
He must have a helicopter. He's going to take
That's a possibility. That's a possibility. But again, yeah, being told that he's going to run a midget tonight at Lucas Oil Raceway. That will be on track after the SRX event there. Kiko Porto looking to try to get the win. You can see him yesterday. He finished second, John. I was, of course, down in Tatis Victory Lane. He wasn't unhappy, but he wasn't thrilled. Right. You know, obviously still get that point lead. He's got 30 points. That was pretty solid, but wasn't P2 was okay, but wasn't real happy that D'Orlando was where he wanted to be. They'll see what happens today. Maybe he turns it around.
Well, it looks like we've got a replay. Here we go all over again, because just as it looked like Porto was going to be able to eke out a bit of a lead and Sykes was going to challenge D'Orlando, D'Orlando has turned up the wick. He's lapping in the 22s. He has left Simon Sykes and is closing up on Kiko Porto. Cue the Jaws theme. I think D'Orlando is going to try to do the same thing he did yesterday.
We'll see the lap times. We'll keep watching the split. We'll keep watching those lap times. We'll see what happens. Sykes about a 1/10 of a second off, but still strong there in the 3rd position. He's got 2.5 seconds on Matt Round-Garrido. Christian Brooks now running in the 9th spot as he's trying to find a way by Spike Kohlbecker. We talked about Brooks coming from 13th and bring him up as he is in the top 5 in points, 74 points back. Josh Pearson a little further down the field. Pearson currently in the 12th spot. He started 16th, so we got a couple of spots for young Josh Pearson, just 16 years of age, out of Wilsonville, Oregon. 4th in the points right now. Yuban Sundar-Murthy now back in the 15th position. Multi-time winner this year. Just having a rough go of it over the last couple of races. So Sundar-Murthy back in 15th. He's currently 3rd in points, 55 back as they run on the racetrack. And Kiko Porto and Michael D'Orlando 1st and 2nd on the racetrack, John, and it's exactly where they sit in the championship standings as well.
Sundar-Murthy and Pearson both got leapfrogged by D'Orlando on the strength of that win yesterday, as he went from 4th to 2nd in the points. So Sundar-Murthy back into 3rd, Pearson in 4th, Christian Brooks in 5th, looking for some good points to see if he can make up some ground on the drivers in front of him. Then a bit of a gap back to this great battle. Kohlbecker, Green, Nepvo, and Campbell, all within just a handful of points of each other, even Jay Stenmark in there. So all the way from 6th all the way down to 10th in points. Anybody's ball game, just depends on who has a better race day.
Drivers coming out of turn number 13 to complete the lap number 8, working lap number 9 now on track. Porto's lead just a half a second. You can see the gap there, and a little further back to Simon Sykes. Simon's got the cushion over to about 2.5 seconds back to Matt Round-Garrido, who's leading that next group. Thomas Nepfu, winner from Road America, back by about 4 or 5 car lengths. You see that there. There's Round-Garrido, Nepfu, then Fraser, Billy Fraser in the 6th position. Siegel 7th, Kohlbecker 8th, Brooks 9th, and Denmark 10th. I'll tell you, a strong rookie crop in this year, John. 28 drivers we've said in the field, a strong rookie group, and they're just starting to get better and better, right? Thomas Nepfu kind of leading the way with that group here today. Kohlbecker there in the 8th spot as well. Denmark right there. And again, some of the other rookies we've seen, Evan Stammer's been having a pretty good run as well. I think Evan's a kid that came in this year with 0 Formula car experience. The part of the Ignite karting program, the top superstar stud in Ignite karting, wins all over the country in Ignite karting, which is a Margay program, an American-made spec chassis program that is just sweeping the karting world. But then a benefactor came in for there and said, hey, listen, we want to make sure these karting kids get a chance. So he came in, put the program together, the Ignite Autosport program together, Spike Kohlbecker and Evan Stammer. Evan literally went from racing go-karts, did the Lucas Oil School, did a couple of the races, Winter Series races, and then right into a USF2000. And his graduation, his growth over the first half of the year has been stellar. Here he is running 16th position, normally just outside the top 20, 16th right now, and he was battling with some guys like Sundar-Murthy for a while there who are in their 3rd year.
Absolutely right. It's so great to see these kids coming right out of karting into open wheel for the first time. I see a lot of that in the F4 Championship.
You do, yeah.
It's really great to see these kids and just watch their maturity.
Driver off in turn number 1, Tom Michaels. You see it?
That's car number 7.
So Chase Highland. And Tom, did you get a chance to see what happened out there? We barely saw it on TV.
He just went wide over the curb at turn 1, lost the rear end and spun it in the grass, trying to get back underway.
Thank you so much. Not the first time someone's done that. It won't be the last either. Parker Thompson, I talked about it in the pre-show. It is a high commitment corner, turn number 1. You're leveraging all the downforce you have in the race car, and all it takes is a little wiggle, or you don't quite get the turn in right, and the outside of that corner comes up pretty quickly.
Exactly. you sort of like, oh no.
Oh no. Yeah.
You sort of see that one coming. Basically.
It comes quickly, but the oh no is kind of slower. That it's a tough corner for sure. There's a good fight here. That's the scrap right now behind Billy Fraser. That's Nolan Siegel. That's the same fight yesterday for 4th.
Yep.
Now they're fighting for, I believe, 6th. Yeah, 6th and 7th. But it was Siegel who was all over the gearbox of Billy Fraser throughout the race yesterday, running for 4th position. Right now for 6th, and right behind them, Spike Kohlbecker and Christian Brooks.
Kiko Porto maintaining the advantage. It's about a half a second right now as we look at the lap times. He was just a bit quicker than Michael D'Orlando on that last lap. Simon Sykes just another 3/10 slower, so he's fallen back about a second and a half behind D'Orlando. So once again, it's kind of turning into a 2-horse race at the front. We're into the second half of this race, 10 laps to go as we are working race lap number 11 right now.
Yeah, and just watching this train right now, Matt Garrido's been able to build almost 0.8 of a second on Thomas Nepfu. He's got a half a second. And then it's like 3/10 between everybody. It's Nepfu, Fraser, Siegel, Kohlbecker, Brooks, Denmark, Green, Pearson, Campbell, Sundaramurthy, and then Miles Rowe. They're all right there. Then a second and a half back to Evan Stommer. It's just a huge train right now.
Yeah, everything from 15th all the way up into 5th spot. Basically 10 cars all running nose to tail. And you know what? We're now into the second half of the race. Tire management is beginning to be a problem because these drivers have to, have enough tire to get them into the third race, which is going on tomorrow. So, are these guys going to run out of rubber at the end of this thing and start falling back?
Well, and just the 3 sets, John, that we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
Indeed, what have they saved for? Are they saving a good set for tomorrow? Is this a set they qualified to put 20 laps on already? When we get to the end of this 20, what kind of fall off? Not so much even just losing the pace, but when you start losing grip, you can make mistakes, right?
Yep.
When you don't have that grip to save you, to correct an error you may have made, we could sometimes see issues. That's the big gap there between third back to fourth. Matt Garrido, who's leading the exclusive Autosport crew here. They currently run in 4th, 6th, and 9th. But there's the gap to Simon Sykes. He really wanted a challenge for the race win, but now 1.7 back. Number 8 of Jackson Lee into pit lane here as well. So here's what Jackson's done, folks. He has come in and put on sticker tires. So here's the setup. We had one qualifying session. For those of you around the track and watching, of course, at home, one qualifying session, but 3 races. So the qualifying session set the grid for race number 1. For race 2, your second fastest lap, or your fastest lap in race 1. So we didn't see anything in race 1. For race 3, it's your second fastest lap or your fastest lap in race 2. So essentially what he's going to do right now, Jackson Lee's putting on fresh rubber. He's going to go out and try to smoke a lap down faster than his qualifying time to potentially work his way up the grid. He's going to leverage the tires. He's going to put 8 laps on the tires, 9 laps on the tires, but he needs to start up front. He does not want to be back where he was in 15th. He'd like to see himself in the top 10.
Exactly right. So he's basically sacrificing a good chance
Yep.
to get a good finish in this race in the hopes that he'll have a better starting position for race 3.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's a good strategy.
So again, working lap number 13 now, 12 down, 8 to go. The lead, only a half a second for Kiko Porto. But these 2 drivers have been the class of the weekend, John. They're first and second in the points. Kiko Porto and Michael D'Orlando, both race winners last year, and both right now ready to challenge for a championship as we're getting into our stretch run.
Identical lap times with 7.5 laps to go for Porto and D'Orlando. Again, it's almost a replay of what we saw yesterday as it was Kiko Porto leading every lap up to lap 14, and then D'Orlando was able to draft by him down at turn 4, and then was able to drive away and make the win happen for him, and that was such a big points jump for Michael D'Orlando.
And that's the really interesting thing right now as well, John, is we are Indy Pro 2000, not so much. They still get to go to Gateway, Worldwide Technology Raceway. Indy Lights has got to go to the West Coast swing still. They're doing Portland, they're doing Laguna Seca, but really for USF2000, the race tomorrow, and then just 5 more races. The triple header at New Jersey and the double header when we get back here in the first week of October. So really 6 races left in this championship, and things are starting to tighten up. Now you start wondering who really is still in a mathematical chance. Who would have to go to New Jersey and sweep the weekend to get themselves back into the fight. Porto and D'Orlando put themselves in a great spot. Let's be real. Kiko Porto, 32 points up right now. And if he wins here, we said it'll be 32 points. That's big because that's almost a full day's worth of points. Porto looking to try to win the championship for D-Force Racing, the Brazilian in the number 12. Be guaranteed that his good buddy Eduardo Barrichello will be cheering him on. He raced with us last year. Eduardo heading over to Europe this year. We'd love to have him back on the road to Indy next year and a couple years from now. But otherwise, his good friend Kiko Porto now leading the way, the Brazilian for D-Force Racing. Still trying to hold off D'Orlando. And here's the thing, John. You said it's a carbon copy. We're replaying yesterday. But what did Kiko Porto learn that he could use to hold off D'Orlando this time?
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. Obviously, maybe his tires didn't last quite as long yesterday, and D'Orlando had a little more rubber on it under him as the 9 car back in. That's Vodanovic. He's been in and out a couple times.
Same thing,
He's doing
tires.
the same thing,
Yeah.
sticker tires. He's going to try to get that fast lap.
But indeed, Kiko Porto, what do you learn from getting past? Have you managed your tires maybe a little bit better, as you said, midway through the race? I want to have better rubber at the end. He's got a bit of a gap here now, 0.6 of a second last time by as they come out back onto the front straightaway. There's drivers rocking their way through Thunder Valley. Cross start finish. There is the third place running Simon Sykes, Matt Round-Garrido, and Thomas Nepfu, 4th and 5th. No one else able to make any kind of moves here at this point. Matt Round-Garrido started 8th, rocketed up to 4th on the opening lap and has held that position. Great run for Matt, no doubt about it. Here comes the number 34 of Dylan Christie. He's going to pull the trigger on that as well. They'll put fresh rubber on for him to try to leapfrog a bit up the order. It's really the only issue we have with that kind of qualifying. We want to give the drivers as many races as we can. We only have 5 sessions to work on in this particular weekend. Obviously, we know Indy Pro and Indy Lights have practice, 2 qualifyings and 2 races. We're trying to give these young drivers more races, wheel-to-wheel races. But there's only 5 windows. There's only 5 sessions. So 1 practice, 1 qualifier, and then the 3 races. The only little issue is that fast lap race, people can come in and put rubber on. The fast lap of the race is designed to, if you had an issue in qualifying and you didn't get a lap, you're at least able to use your race laps to try to get some, maybe a little bit of pace to be able to work your way forward, not be starting last in all 3 races.
Exactly right.
But there is some strategy to be played, and we've seen that Jay Howard and Peter Dempsey from Turn 3 Motorsport doing that with Dylan Christie. He's not going to do it with Josh Green. Green currently sitting in the 11th spot, 7th in points, and a really good battle here, 6th, 7th, 8th. And 9th, all separated by just 8 points. Kohlbecker, Green, Nepfu, and Campbell, just 8 points separated there.
Round-Garrido beginning to eke out a little bit of a lead over Thomas Nepfu as he's opened up almost a second now over the 5th place runner. Billy Frazier about a half a second back. Nolan Siegel right on Frazier. Siegel might be looking for that 6th spot before this is all over. And was also looking at Josh Green. He was right behind Chase Denmark. He's lost a little ground on this lap as he was about 2/10 behind Denmark on the last lap. But this time he's not quite as close. Josh Pearson, however, is the battle of the Joshes there at 11 and 12. Looks like a good one as those two about 0.3 of a second apart. And Prescott Campbell not far back. He's trying to redeem himself after that tough first lap incident yesterday.
Billy Frazier really putting together a nice weekend here. As we said, he's been kind of the guy that's been just outside the top 10, kind of where he's been kind of running throughout the season. And again, a 4th yesterday, a 6th place today. I like what Frazier's doing here. It's nice for a young driver like that who's maybe had some issues, got down on himself a little bit, to be able to put together a really strong weekend, to remember why he's here, right?
Yes, exactly.
You have the ability to do this. He was the New Zealand Formula 4 champion as well before coming here to the U.S. And, of course, think about it, too. Young guy coming over from New Zealand, family's back home. Essentially, his team here, Exclusive Autosport, is the family when you're away. And Billy, I think this weekend, if he's able to put together 3 really good races, that's going to spell some really solid positivity for him looking forward to New Jersey.
Exactly right. Success breeds confidence.
It does.
And that's the kind of thing that these drivers are all looking for. As we look at the lap times, D'Orlando a tenth quicker that lap. He's got it down to about 0.3 of a second. And we're right at the same time this happened yesterday. So Kiko Porto's got to hold on for another 3.5 laps to maintain his pole position and make it a flag-to-flag win for him.
Yeah, never say die for D'Orlando, still pushing hard, trying to get himself up there. Christian Brooks having a handle here with Chase Denmark as well. That's a little further back. That's for 9th and 10th. But, yeah, laps winding down. 16 in the books, 4 laps remaining. And we're checking out the battle we're going to have here for the lead. You can see how close it was coming up through turn 5 as he is essentially right on the gearbox. Michael D'Orlando looking to go back-to-back, having won earlier this year at Lucas Oil Raceway, but the victory yesterday bringing him to within 33 points of Kiko Porto. Porto trying to return the favor and steal that win that he was robbed of yesterday when D'Orlando made that amazing move around the outside at turn number 4, was able to get it to stick. And here are your leaders now. They'll work their way down into the carousel. That's Kiko Porto in the white and blue D-Force machine, working the curbing, coming through turn number 12 and 13. He's going to get up on the wheel right now, lead back to 0.4 of a second. D'Orlando trying to line him up.
3 laps to go for Kiko Porto. D'Orlando 0.4 of a second back, then it's about 3.5 seconds back to Simon Sykes. He's had kind of a lonely third since the early stages of this race. Same thing for Matt Round-Garrido as he's pulled away from Thomas Nepfu. He's got no challenge on from the front or the back right now.
And again, just like yesterday, the primary fight is for Porto and D'Orlando and Fraser and Siegel. Essentially the two scraps we watched yesterday. It was first and second and fourth and fifth yesterday. First and second, sixth and seventh today. Fraser sixth, Siegel in seventh.
Kohlbecker not far behind. Brooks right behind him. Denmark right behind him. So that's a kind of a four-way battle right now. But again, it's kind of tough when the cars are so evenly matched. The drivers' skill levels so evenly matched. It's tough to find that decisive moment when they can make a pass here.
And that's it. We try to teach patience, and you got to be smart, especially coming into the final couple of laps of any race. You're really going to work. This is when all the studying you've done on the driver in front of you, as you kind of bided your time, you were being patient. You were finding out where you may have been faster. Does he make any mistakes somewhere that I can capitalize on? You've gone to school on your competition. This is when you now need to plan it. For 3 laps to go, you got to set yourself up. But I'll tell you, that's not happening right now. But actually, this is the battle here. Fantastic fight. That's Billy Fraser. That's the scrap there for 6th and 7th position. Fraser trying to hold off Nolan Siegel as they come onto the front straightaway. What I was going to say was the fact that Kiko Porto is trying to take this into his own hands, right? He doesn't want to let D'Orlando get close at all. He's been inching away slowly, about 1/10 of a second over the last couple of laps. John, almost 6/10 of a second as they crossed the line last time by.
White flag next time by. Kiko's pulled the pin. He's trying to get an unbreakable lead here, and he's got about 6/10 at the line.
That was a move by Nolan Siegel trying to go to the outside of Fraser in turn 2, and that allowed Kohlbecker to stick his nose in there as well. Kohlbecker's now got Brooks right behind him. Turn 4 is going to be interesting here, I think. A couple drivers lining up. Yeah, let's go 2 wide. That's what I thought. That's 4th, 5th. It's Siegel trying to find the outside on Billy Fraser. Does he hold the spot? Indeed he does. He's going to go into the position. And Brooks going to the inside as well of Kohlbecker. Big wide run around the outside for Brooks. He's going to potentially move a spot up. Look at this scrap here coming over madness, John. This is what we're talking about in USF2000. Late race scrap. Ooh, 2 drivers side by side coming through turn 9. Yeah, one's going to go 2 wheels off. That's a battle further back. That's Kohlbecker now, I think, scrapping it out with either Josh Green or Jace Denmark.
White flag in the air.
There it is indeed. Now it's Billy Fraser. He's gone back to 7th. 8th is Brooks. So Siegel able to get by with a really nice run. Another outside run down into turn number 4, similar to what we saw from D'Orlando yesterday.
Yeah, here we are on the final lap. D'Orlando's made up a little of the ground he's lost. He was a couple tenths quicker on that last lap. This will be his final opportunity to see if he can do anything with our leader, Kiko Porto.
Final lap of action in USF2000, the second of 3 races for the first rung of the Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. These drivers all racing for the scholarship to go Indy Pro 2000 racing in 2022. Driver spinning over in turn number 2. We've got a driver who's gone around in turn number 2, the bottom of the keyhole, back of the throttle, get rolling again. Not quite sure who that was deep in the field, but there's that battle for first and second. We can key back on that one. Here it is through turn number 6. This is D'Orlando throwing everything he can at Kiko Porto as they come over turn number 7. Look at this, Porto trying to hold him off to come even on wins there because, again, like you said, D'Orlando, a strong victory yesterday. Porto with a good run out of turn 9. Really only one more shot at it now if he throws it to the inside of the carousel, but I don't think that D'Orlando would want to make that mistake. A good weekend so far for the New Yorker as they come through. And indeed, out of 12 through 13, getting the win here at Mid-Ohio for D-Force Racing, race 2 winner, Kiko Porto. D'Orlando coming home in second, and another third-place finish for Simon Sykes. Tremendous run for Simon. Matt Round-Garrido is 4th, Thomas Nepfu 5th, Nolan Siegel. Race-long, relentless pressure on Fraser, capitalizes on the penultimate lap as he's able to get by Fraser. Brooks able to take advantage as well. He moves by Denmark to go to 8th. And as I said, Jace Denmark at 9th and Josh Green 10th. And a driver off here, that's Kent Vaccaro, who has gone off the racetrack in the number 16 machine. Vaccaro back up onto the asphalt.
Looks like he'll still hang on to 21st position.
Indeed, trying to figure out which driver that might have been that spun in turn number 2. Kind of hard to pick that up at this point here, but nonetheless, kind of train racing for a lot of it. Drivers just not able to make anything happen. Well, then Nolan Siegel decided, hey, you know what? I'm ready to go. And
exactly.
I'm going to make the move around the outside. A great move for Nolan Siegel. And you go around the outside of 4. You got the inside of 5. And shout out to Billy Fraser for giving him the room as well. There's no need to battle it too much and lose the spot. But he was able to get a good run out of 5 to even hold off his teammate Brooks, who had made the move by
Yeah, Brooks and Kohlbecker were side by side, and Brooks got the better of that. Kohlbecker dropped back to 11th after that was all over.
And that happens, right, when you get hung out to dry like that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You get freight trained, especially as running as close together as that field was.
So again, folks, wrapping things up, let's give you the top 10 rundown here in the drivers of the Cooper Tires USF2000 GP of Mid-Ohio, race number 2. Race 3, of course, going tomorrow at 8:05 in the morning. We'll have all 3 of the series for you tomorrow morning. Kiko Porto with the win. D'Orlando second, Sykes third, Rongarito fourth, and Thomas Nebfu fifth. John, I'll head down to Tatis Victory Lane. I'll let you give the order when they bring up. I know they'll show the entire running order for those watching it at home. I'll let you handle that, but it's time to go pass out some hardware.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Rob. Rob's on his way down to Victory Circle. As we've got 2 more sessions to go today, the NTT IndyCar's out next up for their final race, or their final practice, should we say, prior to tomorrow's Honda Indy 200. They'll have 30 minutes to work out the final kinks, and then we'll round out the day with the Indy Lights race number 1 as Kiko Porto brings the number 12 into Victory Circle. As he climbs out, he'll celebrate for the cameras. Michael D'Orlando, yesterday's winner. Simon Sykes coming home third. Sykes just missing out on the podium yesterday as he finished on the podium yesterday. Billy Frazier finishing in fourth. So here's your unofficial results. Kiko Porto, the winner in a flag-to-flag victory from the pole. Michael D'Orlando put the pressure on at the end, but not able to make the pass. Simon Sykes comes home slightly further back in third, and then a big gap back to Matt Rongarito, who led the rest of the parade around. That's a good improvement for Matt. He finished 8th yesterday. Thomas Nebfu on a little bit of a scrum at the final lap, able to get through into 5th position. Nolan Siegel, Billy Frazier, Christian Brooks, Jay Stenmark, and Josh Green rounding out the top 10. As you see these live pictures from down in Victory Circle, Spike Kohlbecker came home in the 11th spot in the 5 car. Josh Pearson home in 12th. Prescott Campbell, a big improvement over yesterday when he went out on the first lap, finishes 13th. Yuvan Sundaramurthy, who came into this weekend second in the points, not getting the kind of results he would need. Evan Stamer in the 15th position. Miles Rowe, again, a big improvement over yesterday, comes home 16th. Trey Burke, Eli Navarro, Christian Weir, and Michael Myers are your top 20 in race number 2. And finally, Eric Evans comes home in the 21st position. Ken Figaro, a late spin, brought him home in 22nd. Nathan Bird headed off to race a sprint car tonight. Chase Highland having an up-and-down weekend. Dylan Christie, Jackson Lee, Bijoy Garg, really not the finish he would look for, back in 27th. And Peter Bogdanovich, a problem on the first lap, put him at the back of the field in 28th position. One more race this weekend for the USF2000 championship drivers. They will be our first race of the day tomorrow, as they will take the green flag at 8:05 tomorrow morning for race number 3. That'll be followed at 9 o'clock by the Indy Pro 2000 race number 2. And then the second and final race of the weekend for the Indy Lights will be at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So all of our Road to Indy races in the first 3 hours of racing tomorrow. And then we get into pre-race mode leading up to the noon start for the Honda Indy 200. But remember, we got NTT IndyCar final practice today, followed by the first race of the weekend for the Indy Lights.
Well, John, I'll pick it up down here in Tatis Victory Lane. We are set to go, and I have all 3 drivers here who are able to work their way to the front in the second race for USF 2000. Again, as John said, we are back at it again tomorrow morning, 8:05 for the final round of this triple header at Mid-Ohio. But let's take the time now to celebrate the drivers here who were able to get themselves onto the podium. 3 podiums in the last 4 events, ladies and gentlemen. Coming home today, 3rd spot for Legacy Autosport, Simon Sykes. A lot of momentum for Simon and Legacy Autosport right now. Great run for him. Let's bring our 3rd place trophy up here as well. Great to have a ton of guests from Cooper Tires joining us here this weekend at Mid-Ohio, and a number of them helping us out, doling some hardware. Pass that off to Simon and jump up there on that step with him and get a picture. Simon Sykes, we just said, he and Legacy Autosport, man, they are proving some stuff here the last couple of days. 2nd place and the run at Road America. And of course, a couple of podiums here, third. He'll be looking to go higher on the box tomorrow. Finishing in second spot now. He won yesterday, second place today. They are first and second in points. Finishing in second for Cape Motorsports, Michael D'Orlando. Good run for D'Orlando. We'll bring that second place trophy up here as well. And again, the championship up front. These drivers trying to pull away a little bit here. Mid-Ohio, always kind of that transition race where things happen. One more spot on the podium. We'll have a quick interview when he comes up here as well, folks. What a tremendous drive. Yesterday, second, but able to turn it around today. He did not get past while leading, starting from pole. The winner from Brazil for D-Force Racing, Kiko Porto. Stay down here and talk to me first, Kiko. Well, congratulations. Bigger smile today than there was yesterday. Obviously, Michael was able to get around you. You were not letting that happen today.
What a difficult race today. Michael was super fast during all the race. The track changed a lot during the race, so we start with the car super loose and then start to get difficult. And Michael never let me go, so this is super difficult. But I'm very happy. First victory in the series in Mid-Ohio. I love this track, but for sure it's the most difficult track of the calendar. I will only want to say thank you for the D-Force, hard work all the season. Championship lead is here, open a little bit of gap, so I'm very happy with this.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's a 32-point lead, folks, for Kiko Porto, as he will jump on top of the box. We'll bring that trophy up here, P1 trophy for Kiko. 32 points the advantage. And again, the championship providing a scholarship for the driver to move to the Indy Pro 2000 championship. That's a prize over $350,000. And again, we're not done. We got lots of races still to go. One more tomorrow, a triple header at New Jersey in August, and then we're back here at Mid-Ohio the first weekend of October. It's going to be much different weather. It's going to be tough on these drivers. It's going to be a lot of fun for sure. We'll see who wins the championship. And again, take the opportunity to bring some of our guests from Cooper Tires up onto the podium here. We got some tremendous drivers. I'll tell you, though, this 28 in total in USF2000. That's the biggest field we've had in a number of years. And just so many great young drivers part of the program. And we're going to see those drivers move to Indy Pro 2000 in a couple of years. Wait for that field to keep getting bigger. There's a number of drivers set to advance to Indy Pro in 2022. And then, of course, trying to get to Indy Lights as well. Looking for a big Indy Lights field next year as well. A couple of new teams potentially coming in to be part of the action. Teams expanding like P-Sarah Racing, looking to add a second car to their stable alongside Antonio Saravalli. So a lot of momentum right now here, folks, for this program. And we will wrap things up here for USF2000 race number 2, the post-race celebrations here in Tatis Victory Lane. Trophies are going down, champagne's coming up, sparkling cider to be real, and they're going to go to work. They don't want to get those suits dirty. One more race tomorrow, but they'll have a little sip in victory. One more time, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for my podium. Kiko Porto with the win. Michael D'Orlando second, and Simon Sykes in third.
Thanks so much, Rob Howden. Rob will join the IndyCar Radio Network for the next 2 sessions as he'll be working the pit lane.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie. My niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper.
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
With over 40 years in business, High Tide Boat Lifts is committed to elevating your craft. Whether you own a personal watercraft or a large yacht, we can design and create the perfect lift for your needs. At High Tide Boat Lifts, we understand that you've worked hard to get to a successful place in life. We'll ensure you have a hassle-free experience, maximizing the time you spend on your boat with family and friends, and supporting your dreams out on the open water.
As your uncle, I want you to know that on the road of life, there will be rough spots, and they will chew up your tires. I recently took a road trip to Greensville to attend a chili cook-off. Rough roads all the way down. I drove there on these Cooper Discoverer and Duramax tires. You know, they're made with the durability of off-road tires, but for on-road driving. Without them, we might never know the winning bean-to-meat ratio of a good chili. And those are the things in life, my friend, worth driving towards. So go with the Coopers. Cooper! I'm hungry now.
Hey, your Uncle Cooper here. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Goldie, my niece, your cousin, and Goldie didn't know which tires were right for her. The first ones were too much tire, and then the next ones were not enough tire. Anyway, long story short, Goldie found the Coopers, and they were just right. What a happy, practical ending. Go to sleep. I love you.
Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
Karting and motorsport enthusiasts, Lucas Oil School of Racing is America's #1 Formula Car race school. Enjoy modern paddle shifters, pit speed limiter, and onboard video along with integrated data systems. Get started today with our 2-day basic or advanced course. Lucas Oil School of Racing is the official school of the Road to Indy. We can also qualify you for your SCCA license. Get started today by visiting us at www.lucasraceschool.com.
Thompson, your host, and we are here with Race 2 USF2000 winner, Kiko Porto. Kiko, you're a regular on the post show now. You've won a couple races this year. Was that I know that wasn't super easy. You had Michael D'Orlando there the entire time. You know that Michael's second in points now, so it's important to beat him. You know, it's not just a win on a line, it's that championship big picture thinking. How did that race go for you?
Definitely one of the more difficult race of my life. You know, Mid-Ohio is always super hard. You're maintaining the pace. The track changed a lot during the race, so we started first 3 laps doing 124 and finished doing 122. So
yeah,
how adapt is really difficult during the race. I think my car get a long time to get better. I think maybe tire pressure, something like this. And Michael all the time with a good pace behind me. What did you say? He is second in points, so I need to stay there behind and really difficult race. But I think we made some changes compared to yesterday for today in the car and start to get better. The rubber of the Rindy car, the grips comes faster.
Yeah.
So I feel like a more consistent car, but Mid-Ohio is never easy. So
No.
I'm very happy with this victory. Open a little bit the gap on championship points. So that's the most important thing. I'm driving for the championship, and open a little bit gap is always really good. And I only want to say thank you for the D-Force, for the hard work, and that's it.
Humble as always, Kiko Porto. You touched on a few really important things. I don't know if you knew this. One of the fan favorites went out actually right before the USF2000 race, the Stadium Super Trucks. And to go fast in a Stadium Super Truck, they end up usually putting 2 wheels in the grass in every single corner. So you mentioned that the race started at the 1 minute 24 seconds. By the end of the race, you were doing 1 minute 22s. USF2000s essentially had to sweep off the track, get it clean again. So that adds a whole other element, right? I mean, when you start doing mid-124s and you finish the race doing 122s, your car is changing all the time. You have to adapt a lot. And then on top of that, USF2000s haven't run since IndyCar has practiced and qualified. They did their race 1, yesterday. They did their qualifying yesterday. They go back out to a track they haven't seen. Not only does it have dirt all over it with Stadium Super Trucks, but it's also got the IndyCar rubber from qualifying. Pretty cool of you to adapt. Where do you rank that on your win list? You've won a few races now. Some of them you made look easy. That one, from the outside, looked pretty easy. Where does it rank on your list?
Most difficult races in my life, like definitely. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I saw in the formation lap a lot of grass on the track. And I need to change the line before the start.
Yep.
So always when you change the light, you have like some different things to do. And definitely with a car very fast behind us, it's not a quite simple thing to do, but definitely one of the most difficult races because the car changed a lot. This track normally changes a lot too.
Yes.
So how adapt this, and like I can't did a mistake because it's not Michael can pass me. So this is why it's so difficult.
Okay. So this weekend, Beto Montero, am I saying the last name correctly?
Yeah.
Beto Montero, he's a coach at D-Force Racing, coach for Kiko Porto. He's been racing himself this year. He's a race car driver. He coaches you, but he also races back home in Brazil. He hasn't come to all the races. You've had Matthias Least at some of the races and Beto at others. How has that been? Most drivers usually have just one coach for every race. This year you've kind of had to juggle between Matthias, juggle between Beto. How does their two coaching styles change throughout your racing?
Yeah, it's not normal. You have 2 coaches during the year, but this year Beto's racing on the trucks and in the stock cars in Brazil, so it's 2 categories. So.
And I want to stop you right there. When he says on the trucks,
it's trucks.
it's an American semi-truck, essentially. That's back home in Brazil. It's very popular. They have stock truck racing, which is you literally race a tractor truck without the trailer on it, and it's very popular.
More than 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
So trucks is the most crazy thing in the world. Definitely. And yeah, and this year, because of this, Beto comes for a lot of race. We talked with Mateus. We know Mateus know a lot this track.
Yes.
He did some years in the IndyCar, in Indy Lights too. So he helps a lot us. So Mateus have a similar style to talk with Beto. So in all the times, they both are talking. So like Beto in Brazil, when he's on the racing, after the practice, he pick the cell phone, talk with me, talk with Mateus, and is always a group. So this for sure helps a lot me this year.
It's pretty interesting. I would say to have a coach after the stadium super trucks go out on track. He's probably used to racing in the dirt himself a little bit with those trucks, so that's a pretty good coach to have. And Matthias Leist, former IndyCar driver, raced in Indy Lights many years. Those are two really good coaches to have. One question I have, you both you speak Portuguese, obviously, fluently from Brazil. Beto's Brazilian. Matthias is Brazilian. Do you speak Portuguese on the radio? I know technically on the Road to Indy, you can only speak English on the radio. It's actually in the rule book for the teams that are multinational. You're not allowed to speak in another language besides English. Do you get away with it at all?
No, this is a new rules for me.
Okay, new rules for you. So you're speaking Portuguese on the radio.
Yeah.
Well, I won't alert Johnny Unser, the race director.
Yeah, but like normally, I'm not talk a lot with Beto. It's more with the engineering. Beto sometimes only said a little bit of timing, timing of the pace and the guys, but you know, timing. And sometimes he's speaking English to Davi and understand too.
Okay.
So for sure in the practice he talk more in Portuguese because it's more easily to understand and more fast.
For sure. And not only that, you're confusing everybody else. So that's nobody's listening to your radio. Well, Kiko, it's always fantastic to catch up with you. Congratulations on another dominant drive. You'll be racing again tomorrow for race 3. But race fans, don't go away anywhere. We've got Indy Lights Race 1 action coming up at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're an American viewer, you can head over to Peacock TV to catch that. If you're international, you can stay right here with me on Road to Indy TV Live. And if you're a Canadian viewer, you can head on over to Rev TV. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon at 4:30 p.m. Eastern.